Welcome to TLC, where we dive into the heart of our local community, its wineries, restaurants, business, and real estate. I'm Troy Anderson, along with my co-host Pamela, and we're here to bring you a new perspective on what's happening in our community. This week we have a special guest, Carmin Dalziel. I probably screwed you. I've known you forever, and I just screwed your name up. Dalziel.
Well, if you're in Scotland, it's DL.
DL.
If you're my dad, you say Dalziel. And
Dalziel.
if I would have known better, I would have told everybody it was Dazzle when I started, but I didn't.
I like Dazzle. Let's go with Dazzle.
Can you believe that didn't just happen naturally?
Well, you know your personality, so dazzling.
I
Let's
know.
just change it.
I feel sad about it, yeah.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank
Sorry
you
for
for
talking
having
your
me.
name up.
I've never heard this term before, but that's a new term we're having for here. I'm not going to say it because it sounds vicious.
You can go ahead and say it.
It's English, right?
Which
Yeah,
bit?
it's probably from England to say cock it up.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a
She
British thing.
did say it. She
I
said
know.
it.
Well, I now work in construction with a bunch of guys, and it's funny when I say some things, it doesn't sound as funny as when they say it. There's a whole series of vocabulary that sounds different when I say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. All right,
Well,
Troy, we're going to
This is
jump
a
into.
family show.
Well, yeah, kind of. All
So
right.
we're going to open a bottle of wine, and it's from Idilico here in Woodinville, and Carmen knows them, but I have never run into them before.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Neither have I.
That is hard to believe.
And it's they do Spanish varietals, so we have a Graciano. I'm really having trouble with the words today. Graciano,
Give him a
which
glass
is
of wine and be fine.
Yeah,
know.
start pouring. I think that helps.
which is grown in the Rioja region of Spain, but also does well here in Eastern Washington because it likes it hot. So pour this up. You guys can talk.
I've got that song "Some Like It Hot" going through my brain.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
That's
Right.
great. Okay.
I just want to see the name of this wine. I've never heard that name, but I'm sure you said it correctly. Thank you.
All right. So why did you pick this one, Troy?
I picked it because I hadn't ever run across it before, and we've gone through a lot of the mainstays, so try and support local, of course, on everything. We're pouring into our Woodinville wine country glasses.
That's quite a big pour you've given me this week, Troy.
That's what it's going to take to get through this with me. That's it right there.
Not at all. Not at all. All right. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers to a
Perfect.
fun
Thank
episode
you.
and a delicious glass of wine. All right.
Yes.
So, Carmen, you've tried this winery before. Tell us a little bit about what you know about it.
This winemaker is incredibly intense and creative and very down to earth. His winery is located, or his tasting room, and I think that's where he makes his wine, is at the end of the Artisan Hill
Okay.
district on the last bay.
Okay.
He has all sorts of different types of wine, like he has the egg kind and the stainless steel kind. He does all sorts of things. He's got a great map on the wall.
Wow.
He's authentic. He just is a really kind man. And the tasting room experience is really, really good.
Sounds like it. I'm going to have
Yeah.
to visit that one now.
Yeah. All right. What do
The
we
wine's good.
I haven't had it
Well,
yet.
you can't say it's just good. Let's explore. How good?
Well, it's smooth, and it's got a really long finish on it.
It really does. Now, my
Yeah.
first taste that I got, before, even before it actually hit my tongue, was this intense cherry flavor, which I've not actually had before from
Oh,
the
at
wine.
the beginning?
Yeah, not as intense as this. It was
Yeah,
almost
for
like
sure.
before I even tasted the wine, but just the vapors from the wine, which is probably the wrong word to use. But I just had that kind of right on my tongue. It's like, oh, I'm expecting cherries, and it's soft.
It's
smooth.
light and silky.
Yes, it is. There's that word silky
Interesting.
again.
Yeah.
I get alder smoke out of the first taste.
Really?
And then I get a big bold cherry at the end, but it does really pull out. I think you could have, this seems like a pork chop kind of wine.
Yeah.
I mean, always anything Spanish is good, but
I know, it's just very
sure.
mellow.
Do some tapas?
Yeah,
this screams tapas.
Tapas all day long.
Tapas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage people to visit it. They have weekend hours.
I think it's delicious. It's, like you said, it's very soft. It's silky. It's got a robust flavor to it, but it's not heavy. It's not like.
But it keeps going. It's
Yeah,
like
it is
still there.
It has a lot going on. It's
and
tangy.
and it's changing
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
as you kind of
Wow.
it develops around your tongue.
This is actually worth drinking slowly because there's an entire experience to every. I mean, it's not like we're not like throwing ice in this.
So
this is
it's
real.
not a guzzler,
No.
or as Troy likes to call it, a porch pounder.
This is not.
Pam said porch pounder first.
I
oh my
did.
gosh.
I did.
Yeah, This is not.
What was it that Greg called them last time we were on the
Oh
show?
my gosh, what did he say?
Cougar crack or something.
something,
I
yeah,
don't know.
Is that what 50-year-old women drink on a girls' weekend?
I don't know.
Oh my
It's a bit
gosh, we
derogatory,
digress,
but
we digress.
we
Okay,
do.
back
All
to you.
So back to the wine. So
Yes.
okay, delicious. One that you haven't tried before. I
Right.
think it's definitely one we would seek out again. Not even just this one, but see what other options they have out there.
I'm gonna have to take Natalie to the tasting room
Yeah.
on the weekend.
You know
That's,
what I'm surprised by, and I don't know if it's just me, but that bottle looks really robust and substantial.
it's
Like,
definitely girthy.
it's not a normal size bottle, right?
It's, well, they
Not that
put
it really
nicer
matters,
wine
but-
typically in a thicker bottle.
I would say it's a
Okay.
thicker bottle, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it has some girth. Again, it's amazing. This. It's a 2018 well-girthed
Mm-hmm.
Well, girthy.
Idilico.
You can say the name
You
of
have a
it.
go.
Yeah, it's Idilico. I honestly, when I worked with,
Idilico.
I used to work with Barrel Wine Tours, and we would go there, and he was there, and it was just a really great experience. It's a, I mean,
And the grape varietal,
that I do not know. That's above my pay grade.
that's Graciano, I think.
Well, if somebody's listening to this and they can
Nice.
pronounce it properly, they
Yeah,
can.
please go ahead in the
Yeah.
comments.
In
We'd
the
like to hear
comments,
your.
exactly.
I would like you to write that phonetically for us.
Yes,
Thank you.
that would be great. Love it. Okay, well that was delicious. We'll continue
All
to
right.
drink this.
I
as
get
we-
to drink it throughout,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're not going to take it away from you. Continue to drink as we chat through our conversation with Carmen. But we're going to take a really quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dig into everything that's new with Carmen. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this
See you in a minute.
very short break.
This podcast is brought to you by Woodinville Sauce Co. Are you in the market for a new home or looking to sell your current one? 10 Home Team is here to help. As community-focused real estate agents, we are dedicated to providing personalized service and support throughout the entire process. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned pro, we've got you covered. Let us take the stress out of your real estate journey. Contact us today at 10 Home Team.
Welcome back to TLC 10 Life Community Podcast. I'm your co-host Pamela here with Troy Anderson, and our special guest this week is Carmin Dalziel. Now, we had some
You
fun.
said it right.
She did.
I tried
Gosh,
tried to get it
that's
right. Before the break, we were sampling a delicious bottle of wine, and Carmen knew quite a bit about it, so that was a nice treat for us to learn something about wine. That's wonderful. But
sure.
Let's dig into the conversation with our guest. And before we get into kind of the nitty gritty of the conversation, many people that are listening to the show probably have heard your name before. Through your incredible 13-year journey with the Northshore Schools Foundation. So thank you for everything that you did with them. But if you don't know, our listeners don't know, you were the executive director of the Northshore Schools Foundation for those 13 years, and you built an infrastructure that was dedicated to the staff and volunteers growing a small non-profit. I say small, kind of where you took it to was big. I mean, you were just supporting the community, the students, the teachers. Your organization granted over $3 million in support for those, for the kids and the teachers, while providing thousands of backpacks in your back to school backpack program. That was a mouthful.
I know, and you guys are a huge part of that. Thank you so much.
Fills up the back of our truck.
Yeah, I mean, that's a vast number of achievements. And so I want to come back to kind of your involvement in the community a little bit later on in the show, but what people probably don't know is that you've actually transitioned a little bit.
I have made a change.
You have made a change. So no longer working for the North Shore Schools Foundations, which I'm sure we're all very sad about, because you were an integral part of that and the community. But you've moved on to different things. So for now, let's talk about what you're doing now.
It's so crazy.
I know, but yeah. So Troy, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's talk services. I don't know. Let's.
Okay. Well, first of all, where are you working now?
Sorry about
Oh yeah,
that.
there's that. So 2 months ago, I left the North Shore Schools Foundation in 30 years of nonprofit and made a jump to actual commercial. I don't even know what to call it. It's still public service, but commercial work service in the sewer company, the sewer business, which I find shocking, but most people are like, yeah, that's cool. So I work for Dirt Cheap Inc., which is
Dirt Cheap Inc.
Dirt Cheap
It's
Inc.
a
I
great
know
name.
it
I
is
like
a
it.
great name.
Sketchy.
We're gonna do a rebrand. I'm working with one of my best guy friends since. I think we're at 27 years or something like that. It was an opportunity to do a small business, and I think actually all my experience here in North Shore, what I learned was I have a big heart for small business and entrepreneurism, and that's where I've known Troy, and we've played, and everybody who plays in chambers. So you're like, how do I? Oh, I'm curious. How do you do that? So it is a night and day difference. But what I have loved is that I could really find the common line between public service, because in every society, oddly, sewer is so integral. Like, I mean, it's an interesting
conversation.
No one wants to talk about it.
No, but and I didn't. It's a crazy thing. I've also seen no poop in my whole job. Just so you know that. I feel like I need to say that.
I appreciate that because I did wonder.
I know. I did too, and I was like, "Is this crazy?" But I have seen no poop. I'm just saying.
I hope this isn't a crappy episode.
No, I know. There's so much to say.
Keep going.
There's so much to say. But my girlfriend who works for AmeriCares, she was in an interview and was like somebody asking what she does. She does an amazing thing. She does first response to other companies. This is relevant. Somebody said, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? And she said, I would make sure that everybody has a flushing toilet. And I was like, oh, that's a really big deal because it does transforms a community. So it's a different public service, but without it, you're shit out of luck. I got it.
Love it. Great.
Everybody drinks when that happens.
Cheers. That was brilliant.
Again, so.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, I jumped ahead, and so let's talk about your services. When you think about sewer, you think big problems. It's it's not something that everyone wants to talk about or even deal with sometimes. So, what do you guys offer?
Well, thanks for asking.
Yeah, of course.
Sewer is one of those things you don't think about until you need to think about it,
Yeah.
which is actually why I said, hey, I'm calling my real estate friends and saying, hey, let me tell you what we do. And sewer repair happens, or the need for sewer repair happens really quickly, and you don't know who to call, and you end up Googling. And so I wanted an opportunity to say, hey, there's people out there that you know and trust that are in this business. So Dirt Cheap offers kind of three main things and then a lot of other random things. One is drainage, and I talk about drainage because most of our Woodinville clients are calling us for drainage. So when you see standing water in your lawn, just you need more percolation, there's slope issues. Again, the big fancy guys that go out, they know all those things. But drainage is a huge business and needed, and you can't sell your house when that's an issue. It causes other issues. It backs up into your house, and then you have a whole other thing. So drainage is one of our main things. Water lines. So when you have a leak in your water line that provides drinking water to your home, right, goes through your lawn, your lawnmower hits it, or I will tell you one of the major things that happens is actually driveways cause a lot of problems with that.
Driveways and rocks.
Yeah, rock walls, and really, we had a great new landscaper come in. So, but the second that's cut, you don't have running water in your home.
Right, and that's your responsibility as the homeowner, not the water district.
No, it is not the water. It's called a service line.
Everything from the meter back is yours.
Which I had no idea. I mean, we call locates all the time, and they're like, is it a main line? I'm like, why would I call it a main line? I feel like somebody more important than random me. So they're called service lines. And then we do sewer and sewer repair, sewer spot repair, and we do hydrojetting, which is actually kind of the thing that if I was going to say, if you have sewer, this is what you should probably consider doing, because it's not, people think they can put a hose down the sewer and clear it out. Well, you can, but that's not really going to affect roots or gravel that's added up. So a hydrojet is under $1,000, and of course you can call them, we probably have a better deal, under $1,000 way you can maintain your sewer and avoid a ton of further issues.
The 10 discount.
Yeah, of course, the 10 discount, 100%.
Of course.
I think they need to go on the partner list.
For sure.
Oh, we for sure need to be on the partner list.
Yeah, I didn't know you did all that.
No, I didn't either.
Do you work with septic systems at all?
Only, we just do conversions.
Okay,
So,
from septic to sewer.
From septic to sewer, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's a whole different, I mean, it's more, there's more pumping trucks than installation in a septic situation.
Gotcha.
And anymore, the community, it's pretty hard to install a septic anymore. I mean, in King County and Snohomish County. I think they're still doing it out farther, but here, if something goes wrong with your septic, you probably do need to call me. We just converted a septic to sewer in Lake Forest Park, up a 250-foot driveway
Oh my
Oh,
God.
wow.
all the way down to the stub. Again, this is very important when you're buying a house, and if you're on septic, find out where the stub is, because that's where you're going to be paying for going to the stub someday.
Yeah,
And I'm on septic, so I worry about these things too.
right. And lots of Woodinvilles on septic, and
Yeah.
they don't have sewer options.
No, not yet. And then the time will come, right?
For sure. So, from your experience, what are the most common issues people face with the sewers and sewer lines?
In my long experience,
Yes,
let me
your
just tell you,
extensive
my
yeah.
extensive 10-week experience where I have mastered it. You should have seen the staff team when I was like, hey, I'm going to go on this. They're like, you are? And I was like, oh, it's fine. Don't you worry.
You've probably seen a thing or two.
Well, I mean, I think what I said to them is nobody needs to know more than I know until they talk to you, because in anything that you do, underground utilities or supporting people, it's really about the terrain and how long it is and those things. There's nothing I can say out my mouth that says this is what it will be. But I can tell you the most common thing we see is crushed pipes under driveways. It happens a lot, like a lot.
Is that where the concrete just kind of pushes down on them? 'Cause
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Over time, and so it might be fine when it first happens, but 10, 15 years later, it's like, oh, that happens, and then it gets broken, and then a broken means that whatever's going down the pipe gets stuck, right, and then everything backs up from there, and so you don't notice until however many feet happen, and then
And then it's
it's an issue, right?
an issue.
Yeah. Lots of roots.
Do I want to ask how how that presents itself as an
Well,
issue
it
in the
comes
house?
up in the shower.
It comes up in the shower.
downstairs,
So it comes
and
back up. So it's not a drain away issue. It's a push back through the house issue.
Well, it backs up, so
Okay.
Think of a dam.
yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just clarifying
No.
for the for the
I
listeners.
have.
I'm like,
We actually did the most extreme job that I've heard of, or that my team has said, where we had renters upstairs, and the bottom system, it was just a duplex, but the bottom system crashed, but the upstairs kept using this because theirs was working just fine.
Right.
They're like, it's cool. So downstairs, full bathtub. I mean, it can be
Oh.
really horrible,
Yeah.
and that could have been avoided
Yeah.
by a sewer scope, which is one of the things that we're also really wanting to make available in our community and to the people who know Tend and love Tend, which is just literally they put a camera down your sewer pipe and say, here's what we see. And that's a really inexpensive way. Usually there's a small price. There is definitely a Tend discount we can talk about. and always the price gets absorbed if there's work to be done, right?
Right.
That always gets included.
okay.
And we do those on, some of the older neighborhoods and older houses, or especially if there's a lot of trees.
Yeah. Yeah, I
The
mean,
the tree roots in the sewer system cause havoc.
and you don't even you don't know, and again, it's just the time that one thing gets stuck. It's kind of like when your sweater, like you have one little piece of something and then your whole sweater's ruined. It's not actually like that at all, but kind of,
A lot of stuff we see is partially blocked, and so it could be an issue, when down the road. So you want to
Yeah.
know that and get that taken care of while you're in the the purchase phase of the property, where you have some negotiation power with the seller.
and in this market, so we've done several very recently. It's common for our Seattle clients are actually calling us preeminently and saying, hey, before I try to sell this, I want to know.
Oh, that's great.
We've done 2 in closing, like we just had escrow pay for the work, but knowing that given, and you know more about the market, I'm sure you're going to talk about it, but the way the market is presenting to us service workers is, if there's something else, if there's something wrong with your house that has a potential error, they're like walking and going to something easier to deal with. So,
Yeah, we want to reduce objections to purchasing for sure.
is that what it's called? Objections to person?
Well, anytime you put a problem in the way of your end goal, it's gonna, if it's taken care of up front, which is super proactive for sellers to do that for sure.
Yeah, and it's actually quicker than you would expect. I had no idea. Like, I think one of the biggest difference in moving to this business from what the 3 of us have been doing in our community is it's a lot of long-term relationships, and this is like, hi, can you help? And then we have somebody out there within 24 hours checking, and we probably have a crew on the ground within 48, and then they're done. I mean, nothing really takes more than a week, but
Right.
a week is long, and so then it's just solved. So I do want to share that because I think it feels so overwhelming and, like, oh my God, I have to deal with this. But you know what? You just find the money, you pay the nice people, and they come and they fix it, right? And it goes pretty fast.
Yeah. Okay. So it definitely sounds though. Yes, it's daunting to think about. Having to have somebody come in and do a sewer scope or whatever that looks like. And outdoor plumbing maintenance is often, an issue that's always overlooked. So, how is Dirt Cheap working with the community to kind of bring light to this? It's something that you shouldn't really kind of push to the back burner and stop thinking about or ignore completely. I mean, what are you guys doing? I know there's advertising, you're talking on this podcast, but what else, you're doing to let the community know that this is something you really should be on top of?
Truly. I mean, I think we are in, what's interesting is we're in the process of doing a rebrand to be actually Second Opinion Sewer, with the idea that, one thing we're really noticing is prices can vary between plumbers and outdoor plumbers. Like, we've seen a $17,000 spread on the same job.
Really?
Fascinating. Wow. And it has a lot to do, it is, again, I'm probably not supposed to say this, but there's a little bit of, demand and what's happening and keeping your guys working and all that stuff, which is so different than, nonprofit world that is just, it's just different. But, so we really want to make sure that you call our team and, they'll just come out. I mean, I feel like it's what do they say? That's I don't know, like something everybody says, but I left this career to go work for my friend because he's an honest, kind man who wants to help people, and this is a great way to support his family. We're keeping 20 guys working,
wow, that's great.
And it helps. Obviously it's instrumental to the community, but we've walked away from lots of jobs and we've said, no, I can't do it for that price. And honestly, maybe you shouldn't. We've done all that. We said, we're just there to help people talk it through. But honestly, we're not, this is really, they brought me on board to kind of help, help start telling the story and help people can start thinking about it.
I think the narrative there is definitely about integrity, kind of the branding of it, but the integrity that the guy that owns the business, that started the business 20 years ago, has, and that's kind of something that community needs to be aware of. That's a testimonial in itself. It's like, okay, the guy has integrity. He's going to tell you if it's, somebody's offering you something at a discount, it might not be the best deal for you in the long run.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's what you can do for them.
Well, and I think, we're always making decisions between, you're making a decision between McDonald's and the ranch all the time, right? And it's, it's that, like, so there are big companies out there that do big things and they stand there and they use their machine, and they, and then they, send something out and, my guy has to come back, we talk about it, we look at the scope, make a decision, what do we really want to recommend here, what's the right price for this? But it depends on what you're really looking for. But if you're looking for that kind of mom and pop owned and still mid-size. 20 employees is mid-size, which again, I didn't really know, but it is.
That's a lot to keep busy.
It's a lot to keep busy.
Yeah.
We're doing about 9 jobs a week, I think.
Okay.
Which is...
So you go all over then?
We go all over. Yeah. We go Tacoma to probably Marysville, Arlington. It ends up that when you get south or north like that, pretty much everybody's got a bulldozer or something. They're like, I know a guy, it'll be fine. So I don't want to be an inspector up there, but we have learned that they go, I'm just going to have Joe come over and he's going to dig it.
When somebody says, I know a guy, I want to back away a little bit.
Well, unless it's like Troy or I, right? Like, you're like, I know a guy.
No, unless you really do know a guy in this kind of level where you've taken the time to find out more about what they're doing and what they stand for. Is that, what's their ethos for their business and how they want to treat their employees and the people they help serve.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Well, from what I've heard, sellers should be proactive and get a sewer scope done before they list their house.
For sure, and they should call obviously call us, but you can ask for a free one from any company and see what they say. Otherwise, it's a pretty small price to have a written report if you want to give it to your sellers or things like that. And you'll be ready. And if you're somebody who's in a house that's, sorry, I just took this from you, like, let me tell you what else you should do. Go. If you're in a house that is, kind of 70s and beyond, and you're on sewer and you've been in this community with the big trees and the this and that, call for a sewer scope, and maybe a hydrojet just solves it.
Yeah. And
your life is so much better. Oh, I'm supposed to tell you another important thing though.
Okay.
But I'm just pick it up. Well, one of the other things that's happened in sewers, you don't have to excavate the entire pipe anymore.
Oh, really?
No, so it's much more common to dig 2 holes and then to work within the pipe itself. Okay. And so even fixing a pipe, I'm like, wait, this is super important. Even fixing a pipe is so interesting, and we do a lot of these things called CIPP liners, which sounded
CIPP.
CIPP, LMNOP. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought something else was coming.
I know.
There, but that's
No, it's a CIPP liner, and it's it's been a whole vocabulary change for me. Like I'm like,
all
I
the
don't.
acronyms.
Yeah, well, and SGR 35 gasketed. Like gasketed what? Like I don't know what you're talking about. That's a pipe, by the way. So the CIPP liner is pretty cool, and you can't call it anything else. You
say
have
that
to
again.
call that CIPP liner.
Give it 2 more
CIPP
glasses
liner.
of wine and see if you can
CIPP.
still
We can
say
make a
it.
song. Like you can turn it on and off. Anyway, they shoot it. I mean, they clean the pipe and then they shoot it inside, and it's a brand new pipe.
Oh.
And it's sustainable. And I mean, our work is guaranteed for 25 years. So
Okay.
that's
That's
an
nice to know.
amazing tool. So you don't always have to dig up your whole yard.
So I've seen concrete pipes. I mean, I've seen
Oh.
skewer scopes, and they're just invigorating to watch.
I have an entire YouTube channel of them, and I'm going to tell you this. It looks like someone's being birthed is really what it looks like, but I'm not supposed to say that at the office. But somehow, some of them have had like 10,000 views.
Really?
I'm like, what happened with the YouTube? So this is what you should know about YouTube. You look at one, and I guess it just, one of them
Oh,
gets
yeah,
on that like
yeah.
automatic, like,
Yep.
and my publicity people are like, you have to share that out. I'm like, it's the inside of a pipe. Like what?
Your sewer scopes
But you
are
know what?
trending.
There are people
Yes.
out there that find that kind of thing fascinating, they don't have to be in construction. They don't have to be in the real estate industry. Just it's modern technology. Like you said, it used to be that you'd have to dig up the entire pipe to fix
Yeah.
it, and now it's 2 holes. Well, I didn't know that. Did
Yeah.
you? You probably did.
I did.
I
I did.
If you're doing a whole pipe, I mean, I think a repair, you still,
Mm-hmm.
they call it spot repair.
Yeah.
Spot repair is going to fix
But-
this spot. But
going back to the lining, I've seen concrete pipes or sewer liners sewers that have failed in certain spots, and the liner's gone in and fixed the whole thing.
the whole
and,
thing.
Yeah, and you don't have to dig in your yard or your neighbor's yard because
Mm-hmm.
you never know where the sewer line goes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and so you say that. Well, the other thing we're doing standard is always installing an outside clean out.
Oh, that's nice.
This is a weird tip. If somebody's doing sewer repair at your house, make sure that you get an outdoor clean out, because most of the houses kind of that were built, like I have a 55, it would be access through the toilet or in your basement. And while you can still do a lot of work and clean and it doesn't mess everything up, just so much easier to have one outside. You can call workers to come in and do that. You can check it much easier.
Clean out is basically a port.
Yeah.
You can get into the line without having to take a toilet up or go into the crawl
Yeah.
space and be laying there while trying to deal with stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, or your mom's inside and you got life. I mean, we're a lot of people who have their families living in their house, and we got a lot going on. And you're like, and then and also the sewer or also the water line. Yeah.
I had no idea. I didn't know this was going to be quite so fascinating. I was just like,
You just have no
who
idea.
knew?
It was fast. Well,
When I came to work this morning, that
Yeah.
I would be like learning all of this about sewers. I kind of knew, but
Yeah,
I'm
but
just like, this is
interesting.
It's
I
more
mean,
than
and
thought.
if you're having a water line installed, you should always ask for a quarter turn off outside, because then when there's a leak or you notice a difference in your water bill, you can turn a water off at some point and then assess which side of that turn off that leak can be. And now you know if you're calling an indoor plumber or an outdoor plumber.
Right.
Oh.
That's a significant difference. They're not I mean, there are
Is that
some
not something
companies.
that's standard in houses then?
Not
No,
usually, no.
it's just something. I mean, we install them. Some people call them, have them just do that, but we install them pretty standard. And I really think of it as an actual service. Like your life will be, you don't know it now, but your life is significantly better because you have this option for future maintenance.
So that's different from the whole house turn off that's usually in the garage, and then most people have the turn offs underneath each sink, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if like one of those sink valves breaks and you don't have the ability to turn it off, it's a quicker way to get the water turned off. And some houses don't even have shut-offs. You have to go to the meter.
Oh.
Yeah, and if there's a leak, though, then you can turn, so basically a shut-off is usually right next to your house. So you're like, this is the line from here to the yard. This is what's happening inside. And then, yeah, you're right. You're like, this is that sink. This is that. You can do some internal work. But
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying. And the leak's probably not where you think it is. That's just the other part.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot already.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm
Don't be
totally geeking
sorry.
out on it. This is a good
But
thing.
you should be geeking out on it. That means that you're enjoying what you're doing. It means that you've moved on to something new and it's filling you with joy, even if it is sewers.
I feel
Well,
like
and she's adding value to our listeners because
She
a lot of
absolutely
people,
is.
you just don't think about this stuff.
No, you don't until it's like critical, and then it's like, oh, now what do I do?
Yeah.
And where do I turn? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that's in my forefront. Who would I find to fix a problem that big in my house? I thought, well, okay, do I phone the water board? Do I?
It's funny you say that, because one of the things, because we talked briefly before this, and I was thinking about how different my life is now, because I don't, you know, it's a different job. I'm at the office all day doing office manager stuff, and I thought about the life. I mean, you know, I joked for a long time that Troy's my work husband, because
Yeah, I know. We see each other.
we networked. I mean, I literally saw him three times a week, probably sometimes. And what was interesting about that, and I kind of miss it also, it's okay to take a little break, but what's interesting is you really need to make sure you have someone like a Troy in your life, because how possibly can you know who to call for all these things? And that's why this podcast is important. And really look into your network. If you're not one of us, if you do not spend 2 nights a week at a networking event, make sure you know someone who does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, how would you even know? And this could be a $30,000 conversation that
Right.
you have to make in a split second. I'd really rather know somebody. I just would. I'd really rather have to say, like, hey, Troy, who would you call? Who do you know?
As opposed to the Joe Smo
Yeah.
at the grocery store says, I know a guy. You
Yeah.
know nothing about them, but you know Troy. You know, we know you, and so it's a valued referral.
That's the point.
Okay. All right. So we've talked a lot about the biggies and whatnot, but sustainability and eco-friendly practices. Now we know that this is a touch point for some people, that this is super important, right? They want to know what you guys are doing, you know, in the industry to incorporate sustainability practices. I mean, obviously it's a sewer system, so it's not like we're, you know, you can't look at it the same way you would as growing food or any of those things. But, you know, what are some of the initiatives that you guys are taking to minimize environmental impacts with what you're doing?
I mean, most of it's just education. I think that here's the deal. In no circumstance should you put a flushable wipe or a non-flushable wipe down the toilet. In no circumstance. It doesn't matter what it says. It doesn't. There's never a day that you should go,
Yep.
You shouldn't dump your mop bucket without making sure all the rags are out. Just things like that actually, if they make, let's just say they make it through the system. Well, they're not decomposing at a rate that makes it's just not. So understanding that it's a choice. Like, that's what my friends are like, well, there are just some days. Okay, everyone makes their own choice. I think the other thing I was just learned about the other day, I was talking with one of my team, and we're doing a drainage system in downtown Seattle to collect the rainwater off of the house, and they were interested in doing water collection for rewatering the plants. And in some cases, you think planning ahead is the right thing to do, but actually getting the basics done, the water collection systems is kind of an after the main part is built. So you actually don't need to integrate it in. You can get the drainage working the way that it needs to work, so that it works for the world or for operating, and then you can go in and add, you know, whatever you need to be able to collect and water. And then there's a ton of city and government systems, which I have big dreams about knowing more about, so that we can support our teams and support our clients in finding whatever they're looking for.
Right. That sounds like we need to have her back on again when she's learned more of these things, and we
Yes.
can talk about environmental friendly practices.
Yes.
I didn't know about the wipes situation. Did you?
I knew about it in septic systems, but yeah, I didn't know sewer.
No,
you know.
there's just never.
Wasn't
Really?
there a lawsuit put to one of these companies that said their wipes were flushable? I thought I read something a couple
I don't
a while
know.
ago about, like, okay, yeah, they're not really flushable.
If you happen to be sitting around with a bunch of sewer workers, if this happens
Which,
to you,
happens
I mean,
on a
it
weekly basis.
happens to me. I'm just saying, they will be like, oh man, the wipes, it's crazy. So it's a small little thing, but find a new solution.
Well, they make those toilet seats now, and then
The bidets, everyone's
I know.
get a bidet.
we
Pamela, that is my advice. Everybody needs a bidet.
I
bidet.
was just going to say that could be your new tagline.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a bidet. Have a good day with your bidet.
Yes. Oh my gosh, someone's gonna steal her.
oh my gosh, your tagline's gone. It's trending.
that.
It's trending.
Yeah, can you hashtag that on this?
Sure, let's do that. Let me write that down. Have
Yeah.
a good day with your bidet. Oh,
So,
dear.
Dirt Cheap's been in the community for over 20 years. You've been there a short time, but are there any stories you've heard, or anything that any jobs
Yeah.
that are memorable?
So just for integrity's sake, Dirt Cheap's been around for 6 years.
6 years. So
But
sorry.
my my partner in crime. I don't know. My boss. It's hard to call him that too. But my dear friend who runs the company, he was in landscaping for years and years. So he ran a landscape company for 14 years and then made a conversion. Went back to school, found out that this is kind of.
So I embellished. But
No, I mean, I think I probably told you that.
Yeah.
But so he's been a contractor for 20 years.
Gotcha.
I will tell you, just this week.
Breaking news.
Breaking
Breaking
news. This just in. Just kidding. It is cool
Good
to
luck
work.
editing that.
Yeah, I want to do the whole thing, but anyway, I like working for a company who we just had a teacher, and not knowing my background, it's very fun when teachers call the house and or the house. Oh my goodness, I need to go home sometimes. The business, and more wine, definitely. They anyway, so educator calls. Her daughter's getting surgery, right? And right then is when her sewer quits.
Oh, great.
So you're paying for hospital bills and that.
Oh.
And so incredibly fun that my boss goes, well, let's pay half. And, not that, it's cool to work for places like that and a place that has that community. I mean, I don't know that that's the story we're looking for, but that's on my heart today.
Yeah.
Sure.
On my heart today is somebody who is a social worker and has a sewer problem in their street, which means it touches the main and it means right of way, and that means a lot more zeros. And because of the way the economy is and our the way we help our low-income people, she makes $2,000 more a year than can get assistance. It's heartbreaking, and it's not even like you can raise the $2,000 to help her because the system is built on that. And so my heart's like, okay, I think once I can figure out how to file things and enter receipts correctly, how are we going to help advocate for this kind of help and change that income level? I talked to Mayor Millman when they're talking about low income housing here, and I think just from my history, when we say low income, I think we have to really increase that AMI number that people look at. They're like 30% AMI. I'm like 30% AMI is like $14,000 a year. They don't live in our community.
Right.
It's $65,000 a year, and you're trying to live here. Good luck, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see more of. That's not what you asked me at all, but that's what I'm
But
passionate
that's
about
okay.
in my
That's
heart.
that is what you're thinking about
Great
right now.
stories.
Yeah.
Also, I heard something in there that people might not think about. If the sewer line's in the middle of the street or on the other side of the street, they're responsible for the line that goes under the street?
No, they're up to the main.
Up to the main.
However, if you have to do work in the right of way, now you are paying a lot of inspectors.
Got it.
You
Yeah,
are
yeah.
stopping traffic. You are in a whole different department. There's this whole world of send me your as-built of your sewer. There's some, they just keep these diagrams. But then when you start affecting a road, that's another whole set of diagrams that need
Right.
to be adjusted and approved. And it's significant. So finding out where your main is good, where you connect to the main.
Yeah, no one thinks about this.
You want it to be, it actually makes sense of that weird part of the sidewalk that's on the other side, this before the street. That's where you want it to be, right? You want it to be there,
Right.
not in the street itself.
Right.
You want
might
it
not
to
have
be,
no choice in that one.
yes. No, but if you're looking at two houses,
Yeah.
that's not a bad question to ask. And where's the sewer main and how does that work? Because if
I've
that
never
happens,
been asked that.
Yeah,
No,
but
I
that's
know.
some great advice.
I've
though,
just
isn't it? 'Cause
upped your game.
I'm
You
sitting here
did.
thinking, as a homeowner, I'm like, this has been fascinating, but also a little scary because
Yeah.
there's some things that I haven't thought about as a homeowner. And it's like, maybe I just need to go find out that information if, in the unlikely event that something does happen, I need to have that information at hand.
Well, I think it speaks to something that there are so many sewer companies out there, and let's just say they're doing as many jobs as we are a week. It's happening.
There's a problem.
There's a percentage of people out there that it's affecting, and
Right.
I'd buy a lottery ticket and like to win that instead. But odds are something could happen.
Yeah.
And if it happens to your neighbors, I'd go talk to them immediately and be like, "Hey, since you're here, can you look at my sewer too?" Because the age of
Oh, great
equipment
idea. Great idea. Yeah.
is down. So that's another, and it's nobody would care. Any construction, actually any construction workers, but if they're doing sewer work on your neighbor's house or in your block or in your neighborhood that around the same time, just pull them and say, "Hey, you guys can you do a sewer scope here? Let's
Right.
see," because odds are the system is probably breaking down.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, this is kind of off at a tangent, but would insurance cover any of these costs if you had to have stuff done? Do you know the answer to that?
I just found this out.
Oh, great.
She knows.
This is so fun. I just found out that there is something called a sewer rider.
Okay.
And
It's a rider, so you have to ask your insurance agent.
your insurance agent about it, but it just saved one of my friends $20,000. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's different than, 10 or 5 or 1,000. So it's probably worth looking
not
into.
that much money either. I don't know. We'd have to ask Bernie.
We'll ask Bernie, yeah.
Yeah, now you can have Bernie back on.
Yeah.
Bernie,
I'll ask him about sewer riders.
I need to know about a sewer rider.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of information, but all really great stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we're going to shift just a little bit. And, at the start of the show, I kind of mentioned that, we talk about how you have been an integral part of the community with the North Shore Schools Foundation. So huge loss for the community and for North Shore's Foundation, but obviously anybody needing sewer work is, they're quids in.
Taken care of.
Yeah, but you've created, many, many wonderful memories for the community. You've done things like wine walks and galas and hot chocolate days, among other things, where you're always raising money and removing those barriers for kids. So as such an important community figure, we want to know what your favorite places are in the community. Any hidden gems that you have, or places that you want to share with our listeners?
That is a great question.
There's so many.
There are so many. I mean, I think, to be fair, I'm community driven, right? And I'm friend driven, and I'm service driven. You can probably have pretty crappy food and amazing service, and I would go there every day.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. That was probably not what I should live with.
We know what you mean.
What I
You're
mean is,
loyal when-
I mean to say that when I have a minute, right, and when I get to relax, I go where the people I know are from the chamber and from the community, because, everybody wants a Cheers experience, right? We all want to be Norm or all part of an my friend says an Adam Sandler movie, because he has all of his friends in every movie,
Right.
So you're going to see me at Goose Ridge, you're going to see me at Patterson, you're going to see me at the cottage. They're not hidden. I'm right there in the front having a great time. But that's where I go to be peaceful and enjoy a lot.
That's great. Well,
Fantastic.
People will see you all around because you are everywhere, which is a good
Well,
thing.
it's different now, but I think it's time. I'm excited for the foundation because I really do believe in the change of leadership and that's what nonprofits do. And I'm excited for them to go to their next generation. I'm devastated to leave, but knew it was time, and knowing they're helping kids, they're doing some great things, and they're going to do it different because I already did it my way. I can't wait to see what they do next.
For sure.
And I don't want to miss the opportunity to say it really does make a difference that you lend us your truck. It's a huge,
Really?
It's so big for us. So if you don't know, Tend allows us to use their box truck for moving. They let us use it when we need to move our Backpacks for Kids things from our storage area, which is also donated, thank you, North Creek Storage, to Popkini, where we give things away. And just getting a hold of that van is several $100s, plus availability, plus drivers, and we're already safetied with you, and it is easy. You're literally everything that Troy and I do is like, Troy, can you this? Yep. That's all. That's literally all of our back and forth texts are like, can you? Yep. Can you? Yep. So it's huge, and what it has meant is that we've actually stopped using a school for staging Backpacks for Kids, which means that school can get ready faster. It means there's a ton of domino effects. So thank you very much for your generosity in that. It makes a big difference.
You got it anytime, and for anything else either.
Just driving around.
Just drive. If you just want to drive it around, that's fine too.
Yeah, I guess that would be
Just don't
fine.
pay for gas.
Okay, that's fair.
That's expensive.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jeez.
Yeah, well, basically you've just hit the nail on the head. Both of you are very community driven, and hence the reason we're doing this podcast and why you're both on it. It's all about the community. So when any way that we can give back, but especially thanks to you for all the work that you did with the North Shore
Yes,
Food
thank you very
Density.
much.
Privilege.
I had kids in the North Shore School District, and so I've been aware of you for a very long time. We've met years ago, but
I know. I think people are missing the email in their emails. I don't think. I tried to tell my boss, I don't understand. I was like, I emailed 4,000 people twice a week, with my name on it, and they're like,
Where'd she
okay,
go?
yeah, it's all right. You can open the emails from Emily. They're good.
Yeah. All right, well, that was great. I think we're going to take a really quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to do a really quick real estate roundup with Troy. Question of the week. All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this really short break.
Hello, I'm Dave and founder of Woodinville Sauce Co. My mission is simple, to spread the joy one sauce at a time. I've poured my heart and soul in creating sauces that elevate your culinary experiences and bring people together. With each bottle, you're not just getting a burst of flavor, you're joining a community that cherishes quality, craftsmanship, and the spirit of the Pacific Northwest. From fiery dos Equis to the sweet and smoky blackberry grill sauce, our creations are made with love and passion. Join us in celebrating the joy of good food and good folks. WSC, where flavor meets family.
Welcome back to TLC, 10 Live Community Podcast. I'm your co-host Pamela with Troy Anderson and Carmen. We're finishing up with our real estate roundup. So you ready for the question of the week, Troy?
I am ready.
All right, so actually we're going to do this in two parts. We've been talking about sewer systems and plumbing with Carmen, but I had a question for you which relates to sewer capacity charges. Now, a lot of people might not know what this is, so I'm going to let you run with it. What is it? How does it work? How long does it run for? And does it transfer to a new homeowner if you sell?
Great questions, because it's again something that no one really thinks about.
Mm-hmm.
And sewer capacity charges are charged on newer construction homes or remodels or additions or things like that that are done in King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. So it's a King County charge, but people don't realize that it could be on your house in Pierce County or Snohomish County. And it's assessed over 15 years and then paid quarterly. The charges are different depending on the square footage of your house or if it's, a multifamily, so I won't get into that. But it's basically an additional charge to your sewer bill, for sure, on newer construction. And like I said, it stays with the property typically for 15 years unless it's paid off early, which you get a discount for paying it off early. So if you're buying a newer construction house, there's a little checkbox on the purchase and sale agreement that says charges and assessments paid before, assessed before closing, but due after. You always want to make sure that that box is checked the way you want it to. As a buyer, you want the seller to pay the capacity charge, and as a seller, you want the buyer to pass through to the buyer. So that's where your real estate professional comes in handy to make sure that that box gets checked appropriately, because the agent representing the other side usually checks it inappropriately.
Or appropriately for them.
Appropriately for them, right?
Yeah.
But if so, as a buyer, it could be a huge surprise when you're buying a house and you've got the sewer bill, and then all of a sudden this other thing shows up.
Guess who got one of those surprises?
Oh, man. Sheesh.
Yep.
Or worse, on the other side of the coin, if you're selling your newer house and the box wasn't checked properly and you've got this $8,000 bill at closing that you didn't know about because your agent didn't represent you properly.
Yeah.
So definitely something that people don't think about. It's all things sewer that people don't think about today.
It would seem so. Yeah.
Well, I was even thinking, like, when I got my house inspected, they don't check sewer. Like, when the building inspector comes, they don't look at your sewer. So when you think I got my house inspected, everything is fine. Like, everything above ground is fine.
Yeah, no, they definitely don't go in, and that's where we do the sewer scopes that you guys provide on, older houses, or if there's a lot of trees, definitely do sewer scopes.
Yeah.
But,
I thought it was, interesting that a lot of people don't know about the sewer thing. I didn't know about it when I first bought my house. And so you're like 15, you get that first bill if you hadn't recognized it in your closing documents. You're like, what is this now? Didn't I just pay a lot of money for my house? And, now and I pay my water every month, and
I've got a sewer bill.
I've got a sewer bill. Is this, so it's definitely something to think about. Yeah. So, all right. So we had twofold questions today. So we've covered, we're going to talk about contingencies really quickly because, you mentioned inspections, right? So what contingencies do people put in their offers when they're buying houses, and more specifically those kind of inspection contingencies? Should we use them in this market? What do they help with?
Yeah, I mean, in this market, they're definitely appropriate. I like the proactive approach of having, when I represent a seller, recommending to them that we do a whole house inspection, and then also, now doing the sewer scope, like I said, if it meets that condition of being older or in the treat area. But if that's not done, then as a buyer, yeah, definitely. It all depends on the price of the house, if there's competition. The inspections are some of the first things to go away when you want to put a competitive offer together. So, I would not recommend waiving an inspection, but we've certainly done a heck of a lot of that over the past few years, and we've seen even some of it in this market where there's a competitively priced house that has competition. That's one of the first things to go.
Yeah. They kind
And smart sellers are really doing pre-inspections to overcome that objection. We talked about that up front.
Yeah.
We want to overcome the objections so it makes it easier. We want to make it Amazon friendly, right?
Yeah. I like that analogy.
The
Yeah.
best way to, buy something is that one click. You just buy it.
Yeah. So, the inspection contingency seems to be a big part of, what kind of goes into an offer, right? Whether
Yeah.
they're going to put it in and leave it. What are some of the other contingencies really quickly that people can put into those offers?
Yeah, so the biggest is the inspection and also the financing.
Okay.
Typically, people don't have all cash to pay for houses. There are those people, but the ones that have to finance it typically include a financing contingency, and there's just a myriad of different ways you could structure a financing contingency to be competitive as well. So that's where the real estate professional comes in handy.
Absolutely.
And there's a bunch of other contingencies, like a septic contingency to have the septic tank inspected and pumped. You can have a title contingency to make sure the title's clean. You can just
I
have a
feel like
blanket
that
feasibility study
Yeah,
inspection.
I feel like the whole contingency thing is a much bigger conversation.
It is, but the two biggest ones are financing and inspections.
Okay, all right.
That's that.
All great stuff. All right, well, this was a very enlightening show this week.
Not crappy.
Not crappy
Not crappy at all.
No.
Good.
And I've been waiting to drink at work for 2.5 months, so this is amazing.
Hey, we get to come back. We get to do it every Wednesday or Friday.
Yeah.
All right, so if you enjoy the podcast and you want to hear more, first of all, where can people get hold of you, Carmin, and your services?
Dirt Cheap Inc. or no, Dirt Cheap Sewer, I think, online, dirtcheapsewer.com. Or just Carmin. You can probably, it used to be,
Just Google Carmin.
You could just be able to go Carmin Northshore and be like, there it was, but I don't think that'll work now. But Dirt Cheap Sewer, my email's Carmin with an I, at dirtcheapinc.com. You can find us, ask for me. Most likely I'll answer the phone, or my friend Francesca will.
Okay, and you can get more information.
Or you can
And-
Google Tend Home Team and we'll get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. That's what I meant to say.
No,
You should
no.
Google 10 Home Team.
No, we want them to have your contact information first. And then, Troy, if people want to find out more information about sewer systems and contingencies and inspections, where can they get hold of you?
Yeah, all things real estate, tendhometeam.com. And Google Troy Anderson. What?
Call. Where can they call
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. 206-504-3660.
All
Who
right.
calls anymore?
I don't know. I like to have a conversation with
I do
people.
too. I do too.
Yeah.
I'm a little old school.
Like-
I like paper and I like to call.
Yeah, I like, because then I get a feel of how I can interact with somebody and whether it's going to be a good fit. So, but that's
Very
just me.
good. Yeah.
I'm-
End of the show, we're starting a new one.
Yeah, I know. Okay. All right. So on that note, if you
Making business
Yeah.
decisions.
All right. So if you enjoyed the show, please
subscribe.
subscribe. You can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms, and you can watch the video of this on YouTube at 10 Home Team. Yeah, 10 Home Team channel. All right.
Yep.
And ding the dinger.
Ding
and
the dinger, like it. Yeah, so you're notified when there's a new one.
Yeah, like it and subscribe. All right. Thanks for watching.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for the opportunity. This was fun.
See you next time. Bye bye.
Carmen.
Okay, bye.
Are your taste buds ready for an adventure? Look no further than Woodinville Sauce Co. Experience a burst of flavor like never before with our chef-created everything sauces. From Asian Q to sizzling dos sachets and the irresistible blackberry grill sauce, our creations will take your dishes from ordinary to extraordinary. Available in stores including all 16 PCC community markets. Elevate your culinary game with Woodinville Sauce Co. today. Taste the passion, taste the perfection.